Hello everyone, welcome to Rockshire Gaming. My name is Eric. CMON is currently in the middle of running their campaign for DC Superheroes United over on Gamefound. We've already gotten through day 2, and day 3 is where I am filming this right now. So let's go ahead and see what goodies have been revealed over the last 2 days since our last video. So, as I said in the intro, we are at the end of day 3 of the campaign. Currently, as I'm recording this, it is 11 p.m. at night. No idea when exactly this is going to go out, sometime, hopefully within the next couple of hours. But like I said, we are finishing up on day 3. At this point, the campaign has raised almost $740,000 and just over 6,500 backers have backed the game. 18 days left, or 18 days and a few hours left of the campaign. So people still have time as of this video to go ahead and do your pledge if it is something that you are enjoying. Speaking of things that you may be enjoying, if you have been enjoying this video series, let me know down below in the comments your thoughts on the campaign so far and any thoughts on the stuff that we're going to show you today. Make sure to hit the notification bell to know when the other videos in this series or anything else we put out are going to be released. And as always, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because that is going to be the best way that I know, of course, that you are enjoying the content. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we've already gone over the dollar amounts of the current campaign. Right now we're going to jump into the stretch goals, see what new characters have been unlocked and revealed, take a look at any other goodies that have been revealed as of today, as well as then take a look at the comparison of the other United games in the series, just to kind of see how this game is going right now. I'm thinking we're doing okay at the moment, so let's go ahead and go to the first update. First update that came out, it says 2:57 a.m. on the 11th. We got lightning strikes twice, so Heroes Unite Gorilla Grodd has been unlocked. So again, going back to my spreadsheet, which I will show later in this video, the one that I keep track of all the actual stretch goals on, I do have it marked that Gorilla Grodd was unlocked on the 11th. He was revealed on the 10th, but he is unlocked on the 11th. And the first revealed character for day 2, and I'll kind of show you how I organize that in a little bit. But the first revealed character for day 2 is going to be Black Lightning right here. So when the next stretch goal is unlocked, we will add to every pledge the crowdfunding exclusive Black Lightning, including his hero figure and 12 hero cards. There is the write up right there on Jefferson Pierce. There are some of his cards. He's got his Electro Blast right there, double punch in an adjacent location, just one adjacent location, not multiple adjacent locations right there. And then he does have, looks like, a flip card. Again, I cannot remember what those are called right now. And then he's got just another superhero card, or superpower card. So those are his three of his 4 superpowers. Black Lightning Black Lightning brings a lot of energy to the game. His Electro Blast can strike from a distance, frying enemies with high voltage, creating an electric force field around him. Black Lightning can protect himself from any attack. He can even charge a card to perform a sudden super leap when needed, coming down like a bolt from the blue. Does it say? Yeah, something about movement. So it looks like he's going to get a movement or a free movement. Like when he flips it at some point in his turn, he can just get an extra movement. So that's going to be pretty cool. So what is next in the master plan? Let's go ahead and find out. So that was update number... going back up to the top, number 25. We got through 24 last episode, and number 25 is Time to Despair. We got Despero. He was on my, both these guys were on my list of prediction stuff as stretch goals. So that's pretty cool that they got in the game. That is pretty cool. I don't have my figure from, it was a Build-A-Figure from the DC Superheroes United, or no, DC Universe Classics line, where he looked more like militant, had a big giant gun and everything like that. I think Logo has the same gun. So this is pretty cool right here with Despero. When this next stretch goal is unlocked, we'll add his figure, dashboard, 12 master plan cards, and 6 threat cards. He's going to look like have a normal, as far as complement of materials go, he's going to have a normal grouping right there. So what do we glean from this? Special rules on each hero turn. Despero ignores 1 damage he would take from heroes with no crisis tokens. Looks like he's going to be doing some crisis stuff. A hero with no crisis tokens may spend heroic action in the location with any crisis token to take 1 from probably there. If the KO'd hero has 1 crisis token, then they must move it to this dashboard. Let's play. Okay, so there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on with crisis tokens. Overflow, move 1 crisis token from the overflow location to this dashboard. Move 1 crisis token from this location to do much damage. So it looks like he's gonna be doing a lot of damage from that. So let's go actually head and read the actual write-up of what he does, and we'll glean everything from there instead of trying to read half-covered cards. Because I have been doing these videos for a year and a half, and you would think I would know what I'm doing. At this point, I don't. Out on an intergalactic war of conquest, the one crucial element Despero needs for his plan is nth metal. Nth metal? Ninth metal? Never knew how to pronounce that. It's one of those words that you read them in the comics and everything, so you figure out what you basically try to figure out what the word is from there, and then 50 years later someone puts it in a TV show and you're like, oh, that's not the word I thought of. Let's see, which is represented by a couple of crisis tokens found on each location. As Despero moves around seeking the precious metal, he takes a token from his location whenever he bams, attacking the hero with more and more power the more tokens he manages to accumulate. Overflows also supply Despero with nth metal from the overflow location. Despero is constantly adding thugs and civilians, and through his threats, he uses his mind control powers to have them attack the heroes. In order to fight back, heroes can also use heroic actions to pick up nth metal token from their location, which they need to possess if they hope to be able to deal much damage to Despero. However, Despero's KO hero, he takes their token for himself. Once he's able to accumulate enough tokens, his nth metal supply will be enough to secure his victory. So let's see, the hero's going to take the nth metal, or we're just going to call him crisis token, make sure I'm saying the right word. Can also use heroic actions to pick up the tokens from location, which they need to possess if they hope to be able to deal. So we're not throwing them back in the supply, we're going to be possessing them, and then he's going to potentially try to steal them from us. He is just going to be hitting like a truck, like with that one. So that's going to be pretty cool. I like the mechanic of that. I appreciate the way that this game is made, because you have some characters that, yeah, they have the messing with you until time runs out by way of like the master plan cards depleting. Then you have characters like this that just beat the tar out of you. You have other characters that generate health. Like, that's one of the things I love about this game with the other United games. It's just like, yes, it is the same thing. You're trying to clear the threats on the board. Not the threat. Yeah, you are trying to clear threats, but you're trying to clear the missions on the board so that you can eventually just start wailing on the villain. But the different win conditions for the villain, the different mechanics for them, it is a very versatile system, or it can be a very versatile system. So I like it a lot. You all can tell because of how much content of United we put on this channel. So with that said, that is Despero. So let us go ahead and look at the next update. So this one, first of all, came out at 8:55 yesterday. At least that's what the time shows on here. So that was 8:55 yesterday morning. And then the next thing that happened in the afternoon was they put out a posting for Teen Titans. Despero took a while to come out. I know we got a couple of stretch goals done on day 2, but that Despero one, I believe, if I'm thinking of it correctly, did definitely linger for quite a while. I don't know, because again, like I've said in past videos, I haven't been reading through a lot of DC Comics in the last few years. I honestly can't remember the last time Despero has shown up in the comics. So I'd have to look that up, and you think I would have done that before I did this video. But yeah, the next update we got at 1:51 p.m. on the 11th was Teen Titans. So this is basically a big update. I could go through and read this. I'm not necessarily going to read through this one because we kind of already went over a lot of stuff with the characters in this one during the live stream video that we did, where we talked about, I didn't do a live stream, but we talked about the first live stream that was going on when they first announced the Teen Titan expansion. So I don't know if I need to like necessarily trudge through that again. We know that Robin's getting a couple of um, uh, what they call equipment cards. We kind of know how Raven's powers work. We know how Starfire's powers going to work. We know that Beast Boy is getting the Beast Boy animal form. We now, looking on here though, it looks like that's going to be the back of his deck right there. So we already have a lot of that in here. We already kind of discussed a little bit on the way that the challenge mode works for Trigun and Deathstroke and those cards that have like the assassination cards, whatever they are. So we don't necessarily need to go through that. You can go through in this update here and look through that. I just want to get to another thing that we haven't already talked about later on in the video. So, but we do have Robin right here. It is the Dick Grayson version of Robin. And again, if you haven't watched that video, one of the things I do notice on here is it does say Robin Dick Grayson in the X-Men cards. For example, in the core box, you do have not Robin, this X-Men. You do have cards for Cyclops, Beast, and Iceman in there. That no, I'm sorry, I know I'm talking about one box, but I'm talking about another box in there. With the core box, you have Cyclops and Beast. They just say Cyclops and Beast on them. In the first class box, both of them, and as well as Iceman, because he's in the gold team box, they do list them as first class, meaning that there is in those boxes there is a specific Cyclops and Beast in the main boxes, and that this is a secondary version of them. So I'm wondering if that's what we're going to get here, meaning that there's going to be some box somewhere where we possibly are going to get something that says Robin. And then we have Dick Grayson Robin. We have maybe Damian Wayne Robin, maybe Tim Drake Robin, maybe even, we'll see how it goes, maybe even Jason Todd Robin. Probably not on that one. That or all the Robins, just for clarification, because they are planning on putting out more all the different Robins in this campaign. Maybe it's just a way of differentiating on the table that maybe one of them might not be the Robin, but that might just be what we're doing here. So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to point out there. Also, I always want to put it out, yeah, those green sleeves, they're back. They fixed the coloring on the red ones. That's pretty awesome. But there is Shorty Shorts Robin right there, and now that I'm actually looking at it, that is a circus tent he is standing on top of. So that's a pretty cool detail and nod to the character right there. We do have Raven, real name Raven, daughter of Trigun right there. Her you can move to any page. Yeah, so her teleportation effects right there. Again, I'm not going to read through all of this, but I am going to look at the painted figures, and those are lovely. Beast Boy, I've already gone through his cards and his shape-shifting cards, all that stuff, going through the mechanics of that. Like, he can shift back and forth through the main abilities, but then if he loses one, it's gone from the board. He can still shapeshift through like the other 7, but if he does get knocked out, I believe he loses one of them. There's all the pictures of all of the different ones he has. Those are all pretty cool. Then we got Starfire right there. Thankfully, a little bit more dressed than she normally is in the comics. But like, I love this whole like hair turning into fire effect she's got right there. That looks pretty cool. I wish I could paint that well. If I ever again do painting videos and streams, just know that it is not going to be this level, guys. But anyway, so we've got Deathstroke here. Deathstroke's going to come with his Deathstroke assassination technique cards, which have to be resolved during the turn. As far as like, you have to be able to match what's in your hand with what's on those cards, and if you can't, you're dead. So there is that. And then you've got Trigun, big Mama Jamma card right there. He is going to have a challenge mode, so that way you can use him, I believe, in other people's fights. So there's all that. There's a scale comparison between Trigun and the Dick Grayson Robin. There is his painted miniature, again, going to the Trigun challenge, locations, all of that stuff. That is Teen Titans. Again, going through this one very quickly because we've already kind of talked about this one and watched the video on it in a previous video. So if you want to go back and watch that one, go ahead and do that. Um, One of the interesting things on here, and again, it's a Kickstarter. Um, uh, it was the first expansion from the Kickstarter to be announced, so it's kind of like the same thing as Infinity Gauntlet, Galactus, and Horseman of Apocalypse. One of the things, this box does not have a specific um, exclusive figure to it, meaning that I don't think this is actually going to be at retail. Yeah, Crown of Funny exclusive Teen Titans box. So this box isn't going to be at retail, so they don't need to put a more so exclusive figure in here because the whole box is exclusive. So there's not an additional figure in there. Now, if you do pledge at the Titan pledge level for $100, you will get, and they don't show it on here, you will get the Power Girl figure with your pledge anyway. So there is that right there. But there is Teen Titans. Go to the next stretch goal, which was later on 6:15. So again, right here, Despero 8:55. Martian Manhunter 6:15. So that was a good bunch of hours, 10 hours later before we got another stretch goal. So we do get Martian Manhunter, the true 7th member of the Justice League. I still don't know why, not that he's a bad character, still don't know why Cyborg got thrown into the Justice League. Martian Manhunter should have just stayed there. Again, I am old school with all that stuff, so that is just that. But Martian Manhunter is here. After we unlock the Sparrow, the next stretch goal is Martian Manhunter, including his figure and 14 hero cards. So we'll go into that. He's going to have Telepathic Assault, Punch 2 against a villain or henchman in any location, and then 2 other things right there. We're going to go ahead and continue down. Martian Manhunter is one of the strongest, most versatile heroes in the galaxy. His hero deck contains 2 more cards than usual, and each one of them has a different special effect. That means he's both harder to defeat and more resourceful than almost anybody else. Among his abilities are shapeshifting, which allow him to copy the actions of any hero card in the storyline, telepathy, which can be used to attack an enemy anywhere or give another hero access to a card from the bottom of the deck, and invisibility, which help him avoid attacks, flight, which gets him across the play area in an instant, as well as many others. So he is going to have a lot of stuff. I think the only other hero I can think of off the top of my head that might have just all special effects is it Groot? Groot has quite a few. I don't know if it's all of his cards, not counting the wilds and the double wilds, but I think he's got a pretty high amount. Black Cat has a pretty high amount. I'm trying to think of others from X-Men. I don't know who from Multiverse, but yeah, he's got those have quite a few. But that's gonna be pretty cool. He's not only has all of his cards have superpowers or special effects, but he's got 14 of them. So that's going to be pretty cool to deal with and to, have to manage and everything like that. So what is next in the master plan? Let's go ahead and jump to what I'm assuming is this morning at 10:34 a.m. So we go 6:15, 6 hours till midnight-ish there, then 10 more hours, so 16 hours later, again, overnight and all that stuff, we do get update number 29 on the 12th, Steppenwolf. Again, another character that to me is going to be more, not this version of him, but is going to be more popular with anybody who saw like the Justice League movie or stuff like that. Comic reading people, again, not knowing what's happened recently. I think he was in, I think during the New 52, he was featured a lot in the Earth 2 book, if I'm not mistaken, at least in the first couple issues, I believe, but I think he was in Earth 2 a lot. It's been a while since I've read that series. But there we go. So that we got Steppenwolf right there. New God leads an army in a new god leads an army in an intergalactic war of conquest. So we got Martian Manhunter right there. Steppenwolf's going to have his figure, dashboard, 12 master plan cards, 6 threat cards. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have got. Steppenwolf's onslaught is deadly and relentless. A military general paving the way for Darkseid's conquest. Steppenwolf is out for the hero's blood. He moves swiftly, favoring the weakest heroes, but taking on everyone he finds around him, even overflows, damage heroes across multiple locations. That's going to be crazy. Make sure you get those overflows taken care of. Fallen heroes get a KO token, advancing Steppenwolf plan, which will be complete once he has brought down enough of them. So there's a few people we've already have fought that have that similar mechanic. To aid him in his invasion, Steppenwolf fills all locations with parademon threats. These are not only some tough thugs to defeat, but they will each attack any hero, ending their turn there to make things even worse, bleaker, make things even bleaker. I'm adding words now. Not so bad that I can't read the words, but that I'm adding words into it. Steppenwolf is constantly opening boob tubes to bring in new invading forces, replenishing his parademon threats. He is standing on a parademon. It looks like we unfortunately don't get to see parademons. We do. Each thug in this location requires 2 damage to be defeated. A hero ending their turn in this location takes as much damage as the number of thugs there. So if you got a location that has like, dang, 6, there are locations that have 6 thugs in Marvel, at least 5, maybe 6. And to take, uh, you got to take each one of them is going to take 2 damage, and if you load that entire location up with like a 5 or 6 up with thugs, I mean you're just getting an instant KO from that, and we don't even know what the number is there. So yeah, and he deals 2 unpreventable damage on a bam at Steppenwolf's location, and 1 damage to each other hero. So he is just going to be wrecking people. This, like I said, some of these physical threats in this game are just nuts. So anyway, so that was the updates up until 10:30-ish this morning, at least according to the times right there. I was out of the house during this whole time, having a family outing. But the next thing that did happen this afternoon was the live stream covering all the stuff that had been going through today. I'm going to be very honest. Though I did comment in the live stream today, a couple random things. We were out, like I said, this afternoon, so I kind of popped in and out during the stream, and I did check out the reveal during the stream of the new thing that's going to be in the game, but I haven't gone back just because of timing and travel and everything like that. Haven't gone back to actually fully watch the stream. I do plan on doing that later this weekend. But yeah, the things I did see and people did talk about in the stream were pretty cool. So let's go ahead and see what was revealed. Halfway through the stream, we get our first expansion, which is DC Superheroes United Metropolis. We'll get into the box here in just a little bit. If you've watched my prediction video, you know I did not predict this video, though I predicted the majority of the characters. There's one major thing in this box that I did not predict. So there is that, but when I was working on my prediction video, I had a couple of boxes that were not the ones that I talked about in that video. One of them was very similar to this, and now I'm shooting myself in the foot. Not shooting myself in the foot. I am kicking myself in the butt. There you go, for taking it off my list. We'll kind of go into why here in just a second. So we've got a pretty cool box right there that does show everybody that's in the expansion, not excluding villains or anything like that. But we have a pretty classic version of Supergirl right there. I'm not sure what her current uniform is in the Rebirth era poster. I don't even know what the era is technically called. I know there's New 52, then Rebirth, and then I don't know where we're at. I know somebody mentioned in a comment, and I apologize if I don't remember your name in there, but someone did mention to me Dawn of DC, so I don't know if that's the new Dawn era that we are in or whatever it is. I know Absolute Power, whatever that is, where, spoiler, the heroes are getting their powers taken away by Amanda Waller and all that crap's going on. The Absolute Universe is coming out. I don't know anything about that. I don't know if it's its own separate Ultimate thing or what, but I'm going to stop talking about the comic books and go into the actual game. Good Lord. But anyway, so this is a pretty cool expansion. We got Kara sitting there front and center. We do have Crypto, the super dog. We got Steel. We've got Doomsday, and we have Brainiac right there. Metropolis. And we do apparently have, with a spoiler, do have a video here. I'm not going to show the video just because of sake of time. Metropolis is one of the largest cities in the United States, growing to even greater prominence as the adopted hometown of Superman. As with its favorite son, Metropolis stands as a symbol of hope and the best that humanity can accomplish. And as with Superman, Metropolis' prominence often places it in the sights of the most dangerous villains in the universe. Thankfully, its heroes, whether Kryptonians or humans, are always ready to defend the city of tomorrow. So we've got the Metropolis expansion for the game. So as far as heroes go, we've got three main heroes, 36 hero cards, and we're going to have three equipment cards, all of which are going to go to steel. All the heroes, though, do look like they're going to get some kind of starting hand cards. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down to see a new character type. And we'll talk about it a little bit more because it will come up, is support characters. This I was not necessarily expecting in the game. I think it is a cool concept. I feel like, and again, I couldn't listen. I read the this page before going live on this, but I didn't get to see it in the video. What I'm hoping for is that stuff like this and the support characters is something that replaces the mechanic that we have in Marvel, where it's like some of the characters have like the President Kelly token and the Betty Ross token in Multiverse. I'm sorry for the chair squeaking. You have no idea how much I want to buy a new one, but I'm hoping that this is a mechanic that replaces that mechanic to a specific villain. So I think that would be pretty cool. But I do like the fact, I believe they are going to be in a gray plastic. They're only going to have one card, but they're going to be able to basically put an effect onto the board. That will be pretty cool. So, but we are going to get that. And I do like, I didn't predict it or anything like that, but one of the things I was toying with and wondering that we would get is, would we get a like a pets expansion like we ended up getting for Multiverse? And again, because I think of how far back the various super pets go, I think they were truly more characters in their own right, whereas the Marvel characters, by the time you get into when they were all created and everything, like the concept of the pets wasn't necessarily a thing. Like, Falcon does have what is it, the Redbird on there. Shadowcat did have Lockheed, that kind of stuff. But like Crypto and Ace and those guys, those I feel like are more iconic than anything Marvel has. And I like the fact that we're getting them as actual fleshed out heroes in the game and not just as a pet companion going on there. So I think that's pretty cool that we're doing that. Anyway, we got villains, two villain dashboards, 24 master plan cards, and 12 threat cards. We are getting Doomsday and Brainiac. Other components, we are getting 6 new locations all around Metropolis. Challenge card, and again, I'm sorry if I don't remember who it was that said it, but here we have Kryptonite shard tokens, which again, I was kind of wondering if, because again, not as opposed to Marvel, DC does have a, it was a major thing back in the day of having, especially, it didn't even originate in the comics. It originated, I believe, in the radio program, with Superman and other characters getting weaknesses. So Superman having Kryptonite weakness. Technically John Johns, and I don't know how they're gonna incorporate that, if they even do it. Weakness is fire. The Green Lanterns is yellow, or at least it used to be yellow. Like anything that was painted yellow, Green Lantern couldn't touch it. Flash, untied shoelaces. I mean, like, the list goes on. So we are getting those things right there, and then 2 extra figures. These are actually crowdfunding exclusive, meaning that not since they look, because this is going to probably be a retail expansion. So these characters are just going to be in this crowdfunding version of the game. So we are going to get Superboy, which does look like the 90s Connor Kent post Death and Return of Superman version of Superboy. And then we're going to have Lois Lane as one of those support characters. So let's go ahead and get into what they do. And it is going to be a $35 expansion. I don't know if I mentioned that before. $35 is going to bring you all of those things. as well as all the other things. And this is the thing about support characters here. This expansion introduces a brand new type of character to the game: support characters. These individuals may not be as powerful as superheroes, but they can still offer aid to their cause in smaller ways. They can easily be added to any game with their special setup instructions. They are not controlled by any player, having their own rules for how they may be moved around and what advantage they may grant. But be careful though, overflows can put them in danger in a variety of ways. So it's not a character that you control. I think the only other game I have, which has a lot of different miniatures, is I believe the Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. They do have like some support characters like Alpha 5 and whatnot, and I believe they just stay in the middle command center base circle in the middle. They don't move around, but they still play cards as though they're in the battle. I believe that's how that works. Support characters aren't going to be that. They're going to have a miniature similar to a hero miniature, but they're not going to have like a full-on deck of cards. I believe that's the only card that Jimmy Olsen has with his special setup. The Daily Planet location must be in play. Place Jimmy Olsen there. So the main game does not have the Daily Planet. This expansion does, because whereas the core box has Metropolis as a static location, this one's going to have the different locations in Metropolis as part of that. So let's go ahead and see what Jimmy does. Jimmy, of course, starts the game in the Daily Planet location, which must be in play. Always looking to snap the perfect photograph of the action. Just started singing a song. Jimmy moves around to be around heroes or villains. He inspires the heroes, allowing them to use any action symbol to perform a heroic action in his location. However, if there is ever an overflow at the Daily Planet, Jimmy is out of the game unless the heroes allow the villain to accelerate their plan in order to spare Jimmy. So we'll see if that's worth it. But yeah, these cards right here just do the setup on the one side. I'm assuming that all the rules for their card are on the other side, kind of like a villain dashboard, except for in card form right here. So let's go ahead and move on. We got the heroes. We got Kara Zor-El flying right there. She is flying on a cloud, or flying through the clouds right there. She's going to have heat vision, 2 punches, split as you like in your and adjacent locations, and then she's going to have persistent ability and a flip ability right there. Let's go ahead and get into that. Supergirl is every bit as formidable a hero as her cousin Superman, with a tendency to be slightly less on the offensive and more heroic. Ooh. Her Kryptonian, she's a teenager, so you would figure that she would be thinking that she's more invulnerable and that she would go after things more, but whatever. Her Kryptonian physiology grants her amazing power reserves, so she can flip a card to gain a couple wild tokens when they're needed the most. She also easily flies around using any action symbols to move. So there is that. So she basically always has movement. Her heat vision can strike multiple locations at once, while her super breath can be used to rescue civilians or blow thugs away from her location. Finally, she can endure incredible amounts of damage, which only pushes her to be even more heroic. So this card right here might work very similar to Superman's turn if you do. Yeah, so it looks like you can mitigate a damage if you meet a certain condition. Steel John Henry Irons, kinetic hammer, impact during any of your turns. Flip this card to double punch in your or an adjacent location. So that's going to be pretty cool. He does have 3 equipment: his jet boots, steel power armor, kinetic hammer. So even though he does technically have the abilities of like a Kryptonian, it is armor based. That does make sense that he's using equipment, because his whole suit is essentially equipment. So we got that going on there. Encased in his power armor, steel can withstand a lot of damage, and he can dish out as well as he can take it. So I don't know why I had trouble with that one. Swinging his kinetic hammer to smash nearby enemies, or throwing it to hit an adjacent location. His inertial damage field can be used for direct attacks or to power his hammer to deal even more damage. But John is not just brawn, he's also brain, using his genius intellect to use any action symbol as a wild. Ooh. John Irons is getting wild. As a weapons engineer, Steel is decked out with equipment cards. His kinetic hammer can strike several locations. His jet boots give him a one-time boost when needed, and his steel power armor can absorb some damage or be sacrificed to absorb a lot of damage. So there is that. I know one of the things I did here when they talked about this one, Tiago, I believe, said to start practicing on your non-metallic metal painting skills, and that, yeah, that is oof. I'm gonna have to figure out some things to buy to practice painting. It's one of the only reasons I haven't necessarily jumped back into the painting scene yet. Is because I don't want to, even like with buying like Marvel United Core when it does go like super cheap. I really just don't want to like. I'd rather find some miniatures that are like good size that I can basically use as junk to practice certain techniques on. Let me know down below what ones you recommend. Crypto, the super dog, loyal companion. If another hero performs 2 or more heroic or punch actions in your location, they gain 1 wild token at the end of their turn. So that is pretty cool. Good boy, good boy, good boy. Crypto is a lot more than just a super pet. He's a full-fledged hero in his own right. His Kryptonian canine physiology grants him a wild token to use at the right time, and he's always ready to fly to the rescue of endangered civilians. Good boy. He's a loyal companion, leading lending aid to any hero operating in his location. That said, he does have a wild streak and may lash out, damaging everybody around him, even non-Kryptonian heroes. So yeah, good boy. And I do like the fact that he does look like he is having a lot of fun in this picture right here. He's got the tongue out and everything like that. That's pretty cool. Villains, Doomsday. We got Doomsday right there. Doomsday is an unstoppable creature of pure destruction. Taking him down is a futile gesture, as as he'd only come back stronger. Instead, the heroes must subdue and imprison him for good. To do this, they must attack the threats in order to gain crisis tokens, a debilitating act which they can then use to bind Doomsday by spending heroic actions. This becomes even harder if Doomsday's self-evolution kicks in. To make things worse, when Doomsday becomes under pressure, some of his master playing cards start spreading the Doomsday virus, playing face down cards. If there's an overflow, there are no thugs around. When fighting Doomsday, being replaced by a civilian population that Doomsday tears through in his destructive rampage. His attacks deal unparalleled damage to all heroes anywhere near him. If all heroes are KO'd at the same time, which is surprisingly likely, it's game over. So that is going to be rough. He can't be damaged. After completing 2 missions, heroes must move 1 or more of their crisis token to Doomsday's dashboard by spending heroic actions in his location for each token. Rescue civilians can be placed in their rescue civilian hero starting the turn. Okay, so that's gonna be pretty cool. Basically, you're having to absorb crisis tokens, which are gonna do whatever they're gonna do to you, and then you have to put them on him in order to take him down. And you do see he doesn't have a health right there. So, and his contained Doomsdays take 4 punches. So he is going to be a big threat. And this is, I mean, technically it's just health. I mean, those are just 4 health, but this is it one of the first times I can think of? Maybe not. I don't know. It's late for me and I haven't gotten much sleep, but I'm wondering, so this is one of the first times I've seen like punches down here and not like heroic actions. But again, like the thugs do take just, however much, 2, 4, 5, whatever, not thugs, henchmen take a bunch of damage anyway, in the form of health, but this is actually putting the tokens on the board. So that's pretty interesting, the flip to the mechanic. Even though it's technically the same mechanic, it's still an interesting way to have a punching mechanic in for the threats without utilizing health. That's pretty interesting. So there is that. There is his pain measure. I'm going to stop before we get to the next villain. Go back to that expansion that I had the idea for. I was kind of thinking, I took it off here, that it'd be cool if they did do like a Death and Return of Superman type style box, if they were going to do things as comic stories, because it would basically be almost everybody in here, except for, instead of the next character I'm going to show possibly having the Cyborg Superman in there as a definitive villain, and maybe even also throw in Eradicator. And we'll again get to that once we show, actually we've already seen them, once we get the Superboy in there as well. Right there we've got, everybody this expansion basically you just tweak one figure and you've got Death and Return of Superman. Even technically Supergirl, even though it was the was it the Matrix or whatever Supergirl. Supergirl was in that storyline, at least the like the funeral for a friend and all that stuff afterwards. So having her in the box would make sense for Death and Return of Superman. But that's what I kind of was thinking they would also do with it. I didn't put it in my official prediction list, but I'm glad Doomsday is in the game. And again, we're getting a whole bunch of super characters that, you know, would probably need to be in the expansion box and not necessarily go in as stretch goals. So, anyway, next one we got is Brainiac right here, sitting on his chair, looking all multiverse doom there. Brainiac is an insidious villain with plans that will take brains, not brawn, to thwart the hero's attacks are futile against him. Yep, heroic actions is what we're doing again. As he can only be damaged by using heroic actions. Really? Brainiac starts the game already under pressure. Brainiac can only be damaged by heroic actions. Oh, didn't know that. So you're not using punches on him. You would definitely need to bring people with a lot of heroics into this. That is very interesting. He already starts the game under pressure with the rescue civilians mission filled up. His plan to add Earth to his collection involves sending in his probes, represented by thug tokens, in a mission of destruction. His master plan cards add probes, while his threats make him more resilient. He even uses them to attack the heroes across all locations. As Brainiac causes overflow and KO heroes, he flips the tokens to the rescue fill-in card, filling it with probes. His villainous plot is completed once that mission is dominated by probes. So that's pretty interesting. Again, they're doing a little bit of different things, and I kind of said this in a previous video, but it is kind of interesting that we're getting a few different ways to do the mechanics. Like, yes, he is going to have health here, but in order to actually hit him, he needs heroic actions, not attack actions. That's pretty cool take on that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool figure. Okay, so we got locations. We got Daily Planet, we got LexCorp, we got Star Labs, Strikers Island Penitentiary, the Fortress of Solitude, of course, and Brainiac's Asteroid. Let's go ahead and read this. Location in this set flesh out the main places in Metropolis, as well as Superman and his nemesis. Well-staffed Daily Planet can investigate what the next Master Plan card will bring and possibly even postpone it, while LexCorp creates a safe haven for nearby villains. Of course it does. The heroes can use this technology to gain move or attack tokens. Okay, yeah, so LexCorp has that always on action, and then once the end of turn gets flipped over, same thing with Strikers. Henchmen in this location can't move to other locations. All right, and then the end of turn is probably a positive benefit. So there we've got all that. Star Labs can grant heroic tokens, but its greatest ability is using a hero's action token to cancel another permanent location's permanent effect. Strikers Island Penitentiary locks henchmen in place, can be used to strike at nearby henchmen, and nearby thugs can be sent to serve their sentence. The Fortress of Solitude is a peaceful sanctuary, keeping thugs at bay so heroes can meditate there when they are completely alone in order to gain 2 wild tokens in exchange for this card. Finally, Brainiac's Asteroid can be a source of knowledge, sacrificing a card to see and manipulate the Master Plan decks. That is pretty cool. Then we get the Kryptonite shards as the next thing right here. Woo, getting close, guys. Kryptonians can be among the most powerful beings in the universe. However, it's one of the galaxy's worst kept secrets that exposure to Kryptonite cripples them. When playing with one or more Kryptonian heroes, players can choose to add the Kryptonite challenge to keep them in check. The villain gains access to a stash of 6 Kryptonite shards. At the end of every villain turn, they place a token in their location if there are none there. Any Kryptonian hero starting a turn in the location with a Kryptonite shard loses access to all Kryptonian special effects. Heroes can remove the tokens from the game by using a heroic action, although for Kryptonian heroes, this arduous task requires 2 heroic actions. So does Steel count as a Kryptonian? And is there a list? Will there be a list on here of which heroes that affects? Because right now we've got 4 in the game, counting Crypto. We've got Superman, Superboy, Supergirl, and Crypto. Steel isn't technically, he's a human, so he's not going to be affected by Kryptonite. is Power Girl going to be considered Kryptonian, or are they going to go with the whole like Atlantis origin and everything from her, or are they keeping the Kryptonian origin? I didn't actually read her bio earlier. And are we going to get, like I said before, we're going to get an Earth 2 Superman that's going to affect? Are we going to get let's see, Mon-El, is he technically Kryptonian, or he just has Kryptonian powers? Gosh, I can't remember. I've never actually read through Legion of Superheroes. Um, yeah, so like I said, there's quite a few characters we can get in there, so that's pretty cool. And exclusive bonuses, we do have Superboy Connor Kent version, and it just says Superboy. Now, again, I don't know if they have learned from their mistakes, but these cards just say Superboy. So this is definitive Superboy. It makes me now wonder if we are going to get the Jonathan Kent version of Superboy, if we are going to get a in a stretch goal or anything like that, if we're going to get like the t-shirt and jeans version of this Superboy. That's another interesting question right there. But this is the definitive Superboy, meaning like going back to that whole Cyclops and Cyclops First Class thing. This is like the definitive version. There might be a secondary version with a additional title, but right now there's no differentiation between Connor Kent and Jonathan Kent on here. So looks like are going to be our Superboy. So Superboy may be a young clone of the Man of Steel, but he's still a force to be reckoned with. His Kryptonian physiology occasionally grants him a wild token, and a force field of telekinetic energy can make him completely invulnerable to damage, even if enemies do manage to hurt him. His superhero stamina allows him to recover quickly, ensuring he always has 3 cards in hand. That's nice. His unique tactile telekinesis allows him to manipulate objects he can touch, or even at a distance if they're somehow connected, allow him to perform or attack an attack and heroic action in the vicinity of the flip of a card. So that's pretty cool. I like that miniature right there. And then we got Lois Lane. Lois Lane, as you can see, how they do that. No, that's just coloring. Lois Lane right there, gray figure. She is going to be a new support character. Lois Lane is inexplicably tied to Superman. She gives him strength, but can also be a liability. So right here on her card special setup, she has to be added to a game, or may be added to a game if Superman is in play. So if the other supers are in the game, she does not show up. As such, this support character should be used in games with Superman. Heroes can use heroic actions to send Lois to investigate any location with a threat. Ever resourceful, she is able to place an action token from the pool on the threat to clear it. So that's going to be pretty cool. So she can put heroic actions on threat cards randomly when you throw her over there. If the threat is a henchman, however, Superman can move there for free to attack it himself. So basically, you're going to be able to port Superman across the board. Players must be very careful, as Lois Lane can be quite vulnerable, and using her is not an option. If her location ever overflows, Superman must spend an attack in her location on his next turn in order to save her. Otherwise, the heroes lose the game. No amount of flying around the Earth will reverse that. Jimmy Olsen, in the write-up on there, I don't believe said that the heroes lose if he is taken out. They talked about being able to not take him out by accelerating the villain, but Lois specifically says that the game is lost if she gets taken out, because yeah, that would be bad. He gets mad when some stuff happens to her. But there is our box of DC Superheroes United Metropolis. So there you go. Go ahead and attach it. They don't have the instructions on here to add it on there, probably because the Gamefound page just allows you to add it on there. So there is that. So that was the stream from 12 to 1 today. This was about 12:30 when this was announced, 1 o'clock or so when it was put on the main page. And then we get over here to Vixen. So at 1:56 p.m., about an hour later, we got Steppenwolf unlocked, and there's all that stuff there. And we get Vixen. Vixen, for TV people, I believe was on Legends of Tomorrow. Vixen for me was in that same group of Justice League members after, I believe, Infinite Crisis, that Red Tornado was part of. in there, I believe. So there are her cards. Fierce is the line. Defeat one thug in your location. If you do, I was gonna say if you die. If you do, you may move. So that's pretty cool. And then she's gonna have her Tantu totem. Use on your turn. Use again the animal special effect as one of your hero cards in the storyline. Then turn this face down. So let's go ahead and read what that actually means. Thanks to her connection to the Tantu totem, Vixen is able to channel the powers of the whole animal kingdom. Heavy as an elephant, she stomps out crisis tokens. Fast as an eagle, she flies around. Tough as a bear, she shrugs off damage. Strong as a rhino, she charges and shoves enemies. Fierce as a lion, she pounces thugs. Agile as a monkey, she swings civilians to safety. And imperhensible as a planaria, she regenerates her body. The equipment card even allows her to use again the animal special effect of any of the cards in her storyline. So that gives you at least a double of any of the effects. So if I'm reading that right with that, that's going to give her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at least. Special effects cards plus being able to use one of them again using the equipment. I think I counted that right. Again, it's 11:50 now, but yeah, that's pretty cool that she's gonna have all of that stuff. So that is Vixen. That was again this afternoon, close to 2 o'clock, and then we get the stretch goal that started at 8:30 this evening out of the Lazarus Pit. Vixen was funded. So then we get Ra's al Ghul, villain, dashboard, 12 master plan cards, and 6 threat cards. Ra's al Ghul being in the game. I've seen this picture so many times, and I'm realizing with this line right here that they actually had him wearing a shirt. Because for some reason, I don't know why, there's a lot of media where he's just wearing like the bottom, the pants, and maybe the cape, and for some reason just doesn't have a shirt on. So I'm glad they have him fully clothed for this game. So Ra's al Ghul, leader of the League of Assassins, there is his figure right there. Ra's al Ghul's master plan may be to destroy evil, but his extreme methods make him a villain who must be stopped at all costs. The game starts with only civilians across the locations, but Ra's al Ghul will keep adding his thugs all over the place, and even causing overflows to convert civilians into thugs. When he becomes under pressure, his plan escalates, turning more civilians into thugs and activating them to attack the heroes. The head of the demon, Ra's al Ghul, is not just a mastermind, but also an expert fighter to deal fatal blows to the heroes, whether by KOing them or causing overflows. His destroy evil advances until he ultimately reaches his twisted goal. He's going to have henchmen, Lady Shiva, David Kane, Talia al Ghul, and Badir Nasir. So there, let's see, the threats place a Lazarus Pit in a couple locations, which will ensure Ra's al Ghul immediately comes back with a vengeance if he's defeated anywhere near them. So probably means he's got 2 Lazarus Pit threats, and then the rest of them are going to be his henchmen. The rest of his threats bring the deadly henchmen in his service. Badir Nasir and Talia al Ghul are key to the plans of the League of Assassins, so the Destroy Evil track actually recedes if they are defeated. Oh, I think that's one of the first times I can think of that the track on the dashboard goes the other way. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Fear attacks heroes and mobilizes thugs against them, while Talia advances the track if she has no heroes to attack. Likewise, if David Kane and Lita Shiva have no targets, they discard civilians and add thugs respectively. So the thing with the adding the civilians, or just having the civilians on the board, because somebody else had that ability as well, does that mean that like in the civilian spots we only put the civilians in there and we just ignore the thug spots, or are we putting civilians in both the civilian and the thug spots? Because some of them have because the location cards have both. They show like where the starting thugs and the starting civilians go, and so I'm wondering if we're just filling the whole thing up with civilians, or we just filling the civilian parts with civilians. That'd be kind of an interesting question. Also, just as pure speculation, especially because I can tell a couple of these, some people like to have as full-on villains. Just because of the fact that these henchmen are in Ra's al Ghul's deck as threats does not mean that we won't get them as figures. Already in this game alone, Luther has a bunch of characters as his threat cards that are now also full on figures. I think the only one we don't have yet is Sinestro, more than likely because Sinestro is probably going to be the big bad in a Green Lantern box that will, be hopefully announced at some point soon. Probably not this weekend, but definitely next week sometime. So at least I would think. I don't know. I have no idea because I have no idea what's going on in this game. So that is the last stretch goal. Let me go back to the main page. Yeah, 741.013. I don't know why I said it that way. Scrolling down to the exclusives. Yeah, and Ra's al Ghul is going to be at 770 pledge. So yeah, we're still $30,000 away from that being unlocked, and that is not going to be unlocked in the next 5 minutes. So that is officially the end. Going back to Ra's al Ghul here, that is officially the end of the updates for day 2 and day 3 of DC Superheroes United. So let's go ahead and check the numbers. So this is what we've got right here. So as I said, going through this, and again, everything's offset. So this was day 1 starting, and these first unlocks were on 7/10, which was the first day. Again, I have these first 4 in here just because that's the way the Gamefound page lists it. I don't count these as actual stretch goals because these were just like, hey, we met funding, here's 4 characters, depending on your pledge level. So not counting these right here. So far we have 15 stretch goals unlocked, as well as 2 card packs unlocked, the complication cards and the new hero villain cards right there. And we've got quite a few villains and heroes. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these 15 are already heroes, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I don't know why I can't do the math. 7 of them are villains. So that's a pretty good spread. And I think in like Marvel United in the past, they've have like a good chunk of heroes and then only a few villains. Like 1 villain for every like 2 to 4 heroes that were announced. So we are getting a pretty good spread of going back and forth right now of hero villain, hero villain, hero villain. So that will be pretty cool. And we are currently at so like I said, let's go back up here. So yeah, day 1 unlock date right there. Gorilla Grodd still considered day 1, but he was unlocked on the next day. And then this 2 right here is Black Lightning, was the first character announced on day 2, and then Steppenwolf for day 3. Manhunter was there, all that stuff. So we're going to be right here. So most likely, because we're going to be doing this will hopefully be unlocked on that day. So right now the game we're looking at getting to $770,000, but definitively we've met this goal right here, which is the 730K mark. United comparisons right here. This is Marvel United season 1. So by the time the campaign made roughly the same amount was right here on day 5 when they announced Jessica Jones, and I'm realizing that my number system that I shared is completely off. So that could be day 5, that could be day 6, whatever it is. But a couple days after ours, it was 4 days after it was unlocked. It was unlocked. So but that was at 720. So we had 14 characters over there unlocked by roughly around the same time. So like I said, character wise, we've unlocked the same amount of characters and almost the same amount of money raised, but 2 days ahead of time. So the game was looking pretty good on that point. Over here, Marvel United X-Men, there's no comparison right here. They were halfway through day 1 making the same amount of money. Again, one of the things that I think some people don't remember, and even going into multiverse, some people don't remember in X-Men, was that I don't remember when exactly it was, but, and maybe it wasn't day 1, but throughout the course of the campaign, they basically offered everything but, I believe, the core box um, in the X-Men campaign. Again, I can't remember if that was like day 1 they allowed that, or if that was like revealed later on. But that is one of the reasons why X-Men just had so much funding behind it, because it doubled Marvel United 1, because it basically also sold Marvel United 1 on there. They never explained where the split was in that, or how much of that was actually just reprinting Marvel United 1. So we've got that right there. And then over here, um again with Marvel United Multiverse, they were in the middle of day 2, when I realize my dates are like really off on this whole thing. But they were in the middle of day 2 with unlocking Raza at 740k, which is past where we're at right about where we're at right now in the campaign. So we're 2 days ahead as far as funding and figures. We're 2 days ahead of Marvel United 1, but we're a day behind on Marvel United Multiverse. That's pretty interesting. Again, I don't consider X-Men a thing, and even here, with Multiverse, it wasn't until like, where is it? Right here, where I mentioned the promo storage stretch goal boxes right here. The end of the week, where they announced that the like the Fantastic Four was getting re-released over here on the 25th. They re-released here. Well, they re-released here all of the stretch goal boxes, so they did get a big push in those campaigns. So DC United is going to be not better comparison over to Marvel United 1, but it's not going to have the backing of all the extra stuff from Marvel United 1 and Marvel United 2 in its funding. Like it doesn't have like 2 previous campaigns to inflate its numbers. Like it's basically DC Superheroes United is just having to rely on DC Superheroes United Season 1 in order, for its funding and for its products and everything like that. It's not offering a previous campaign stuff. So I hope that makes sense as I'm saying that. I know I'm like kind of thinking out loud as I'm going through it, and trying to get my thoughts in and everything like that. But I just know that there's probably people out there who are like, and I haven't really seen it. I also haven't, almost intentionally, have not been paying too much attention to the comments this time around through both the Facebook pages and the campaign pages. I do kind of glance at them and I see like people's wish lists and stuff like that, but I haven't seen anybody say, "Oh my gosh, this game is not doing well. They're not getting all this funding." Da da da. It's doing between Marvel United 1 and Marvel United Multiverse right now, so I don't see that as a big thing. I try not to compare anything to X-Men because again, I feel like it was early. I feel like it was very early that they, because I don't even have it on here. I feel like it was very early that they were offering Marvel United Season 1 in there. I'd have to go back and look through the updates and see about that, or if somebody wants to comment with that for me, that'd be even better. But yeah, like I said, DC Superheroes United is just relying on DC Superheroes United Season 1 in order to gauge interest in all that stuff. So again, not putting too much stock in the. This is just a fun exercise for the comparisons, as I always say. But with all of that said, I think I'm finally done talking for the night. I got to get this edited and put out, and then try to get some sleep to go to a soccer game at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it is now midnight, so Eric is not getting anywhere near 8 hours of sleep. So with all of that said, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning into this recap video for DC Superheroes United on Gamefound from CMON Games. If you have enjoyed, as I said before, this series, make sure to hit that like button so that way we know that you are enjoying this one and you want to see more of them. Like I said, we do these mostly on CMON games like this. I am willing to do them on other games and everything, but I would just need to know that these are things you guys are interested in. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell so that way you are alerted to when these videos are out. And as always, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I know there's at least like nearly 10 people who've already subscribed to the channel since the last video. So for all you guys, thank you very much for dropping in. To all the rest of you who have been here for the long haul, thank you guys as well. But like I said, hit that subscribe button. With that said, I have been Eric. This has been Rockshire Gaming. We've got DC Superheroes United over here, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Good night.